Hey guys, it's Kevin again, my review for Rocketman. And what Rocketman is essentially about is, of course, we center on the true story of Elton John. We basically follow him throughout his life, his humble beginnings when he was Reginald Dwight, and also the struggles that he overcame with substance abuse, and him kind of processing the fact that he was homosexual, and really how these occurrences and these incidences have kind of shaped him to be the person that he is today. So Rocketman overall, I was very excited for this film, but I'm not going to lie, I was a little skeptical, especially with Bohemian Rhapsody coming out last year, which I've said before, it's a film that at first, glance, I really did like. But the more I thought about it, and the more people were talking about it in a negative way because, Oscar stuff, I really started to dislike it. I thought it was extremely generic. It was very misguided. I really wasn't a fan. So obviously going into this, being another music biopic, I was very kind of worried for what was going to be. But I was also fairly optimistic because this film in general looked like it was going to be, things that Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't. I mean, for example, having something like Taron Egerton singing and things like that. But also just seeing how hard Dexter Fletcher was willing to fight for this movie. I mean, they wanted to tone the movie down and cut stuff out, but Fletcher heard, our complaints and things like that for Bohemian Rhapsody, clearly, and I don't think he was happy with the way that film turned out either, and the fact that he wanted to make it the best it could possibly be, that had me very hopeful for it. And just in general, also, the fact that Elton John, at least for me, he's one of the greatest singers ever. I mean, he's one of those artists where if I can't figure out what music to listen to, like let's just say I'm bored, I want to listen to music, I'll turn on some Elton John because he really is that great of a singer, and I really do think he's one of the best out there for sure. So any film about him, I'm immediately going to be on board with. But like I said, I was a little skeptical, but I have to say, coming out of Rocketman, this film blew me away in more ways than I could have imagined. It was honestly better than I thought it was going to be. It's a very different film than what you're expecting, but that's why I loved it as much as I did. And we're just getting into right now, starting off with the cast. So in terms of the cast, everyone here is excellent. I really do think everyone just did such a great job here. Everyone was so well casted, but easily the standout is Taron Egerton, who, look, I've said it before, I think he's a fantastic actor. I saw him in things like Kingsman. I'm like, that guy, he's going to be a big thing someday, and I think he's been struggling for a while. He's been trying to find that one role that really does define him, and let me just tell you, this is it. This is absolutely the role that he was born to play because he completely transforms into the person that Elton John still is, someone who is very flamboyant, but also someone who is a bit of a introvert, someone who has kind of had to be alone a lot and has self-taught himself, but someone who also, wants to be a singer and things like that. And I think overall he just did such a great job, even if it was like little facial expressions and things like that, he absolutely just killed it in this role. I love what he was able to do. He really does explore the pain that John went through as a person, but also how he was able to, sort of move on from that and how he was able to overcome it through performing and through, other things in life. And I think overall he just did such a great job. There was so much passion poured into it. You can tell how much respect Egerton really does have for the real Elton John, and I think that's something that really does work here for sure. And his singing voice as well. I mean, holy shit, can he sing? I mean, I didn't see the movie Sing that he was in. I know he did, he did provide vocal work for that, but what he does here, I mean, it is absolutely incredible, and I love what he was able to do in this film. For sure, I think one of the best performances of the year, and I have to say, I mean, this better get Oscar attention, because compared to, say, Rami Malek, I mean, this performance is leagues above that, and I really do hope it gets the proper attention it deserves, because he was just fantastic here. But someone else who I thought was really great was Jamie Bell as Bernie Taupin, who, obviously compared to Egerton, no, he does not have the amount of dramatic heft that he does, and it's not as demanding of a role, but he still does a very good job. You understand the type of friendship that these two had, how supportive he was of him, but also how annoyed he was that John was kind of keeping himself suffering and how he really did want to help him. And I thought overall he did a really great job here. The chemistry between these two is just so great. You see the friendship that they've had. You understand the chemistry they've had. You understand why they've been able to stay friends after all these years. And I thought overall he just did such a great job here. And I really did love their scenes together as well. And then the rest of the cast is also very good. Richard Madden does a very good job as John Reed. I thought he was definitely really great here. He could have been very over the top, but I thought he gave a performance that was someone who, yeah, he is a bad person, and definitely he is someone who is, you know, kind of vile and disgusting, but it never felt too cartoony, and that's the same for Bryce Dallas Howard, who I'll just say right now is the best I have ever seen her. I have not really thought much of her as an actress, but this film completely turned me around on her. I thought she was fantastic. She plays Elton John's very resentful mother, and again, she, similar to Reed, is a horrible human being, but it never comes off one-dimensional. You feel like there is a person in there, and that really is due to Howard's work, who I thought did a very good job. Cameron Mackintosh also was really great here. Really, the entire cast. I thought everyone just did such an excellent job in this film. But now I really have to get to the directing and the writing, because I'll just say it right now, Dexter Fletcher's directing is something that people are going to go in with a bit of trepidation, and I can completely understand that, but within the first, I'd say, minute of this film, that should all go out the window, because this just makes me mad that he was not able to showcase his true ability in Bohemian Rhapsody, because what he demonstrates here is fantastic. I love his style for this film. It's very heavily stylized. It is not your typical biopic at all. In fact, this is much more of a musical than you will expect it to be, and I absolutely love that. It's sort of a cerebral sort of musical, and I thought he did such a great job with it, dramatic-wise. He really does care about this story, and you really can tell that through his directing, but there also are some nice moments of levity, but they never undermine the true tragedy that this film is trying to tell, and I think he did a very good job with that, and the musical performances were just very well interweaved here, and just in general, Fletcher really showed his capability as a director, and I'm hoping moving forward that he's able to do more films like this, because I really did like what he brought to this film. It's very unconventional for sure, but I really did love it, and I definitely want to see him direct more, because I thought he did a great job. And the writing here by Lee Hall, though, that's what really impressed me with this film, because you know, I've seen a lot of videos, especially since Bohemian Rhapsody has come out, you know, that there's this, the music biopic, it's the most popular it's ever been, so a lot of people will think, you know, this film's going to revert to certain cliches, and it's going to do a lot of things that you expect it to do. And I'll say this, does it have certain cliches? Yes, but it does it in a way that is different from most, because this isn't one of those biopics where it's like, all right, this happened, this happened, this happened. No. Elton goes through the things that he thinks are important. Whatever is important in this specific story, that's what you see play out. You know, the central story here is basically Elton John confronting his past demons and the things that have really affected him in the past, and sort of just the things that have been haunting him for a while that he hasn't been really able to express. And it's sort of this frame story where he's at, like, say, an AA meeting, and he's trying to, you know, finally confess everything that he's done wrong and finally just talk to someone about it and get that help. And it's really well interweaved here. It's the way he tells the story, I thought was very well done for sure. It could have easily been very generic, but I like that they chose to do something far more unconventional, and I really did like that approach for sure. And everything that needs to be fleshed out we really do get to see his childhood, for example, the just nightmarish life that he had. I mean, he had a mother that was very resentful, a father that just wasn't around a lot. It was absolutely horrible, but we really do get to see that played out. His friendship with Bernie is very well developed. You see how these two became friends, how they formed this bond, how, you know, Toppin has become his top, like, songwriting partner and things like that, but also just the love they have for each other, you know, as sort of this brotherly sort of relationship that they do have, which it was just very sweet to watch. And, you know, so when certain things do occur in the film, you know why this is affecting John as much as it is, and I thought they did a very good job with expressing that here. Nothing felt rushed to me with this film, and that's something that you can't really say about a lot of biopics, but this one really does take its time, and I was very appreciative of that for sure. I thought they told a very good story in that way, and look, there's a lot of things that this film is very much dealing with, but like I said, the primary story is really about the abuse that John has endured throughout the years and the effect that this really does have on him, and how, this gets him to this gets him to suddenly, start putting on a version of himself that's not who he really is, and it starts to affect, these friendships, like his friendship with Toppin. It starts to make him not take things as seriously as he should, and I thought they just told a very good story in that way, and I very much did enjoy it. And a lot of the time, it felt like this was John not saying, like, okay, I was who I was then and I'm different now. No, it's him saying that, yeah, I am still kind of that person, but I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to, discover the purpose of love. And that's a big part of this movie. For example, his relationship with John Reed. I mean, when Ellen first meets him, he thinks that this is something that is very real, but let's just say, without spoiling anything, Reed is not thinking about it in the same way that he is, and I thought they handled that very well. It could have easily come off very underdeveloped and very just misguided, but the way it was done, you understand why things turned out the way it did. You understand how susceptible John was to Reed's sort of manipulation and things like that, and I thought they told that story very well. Just every story in this film, it felt so well fleshed out. It felt like they really had an idea of what they wanted to tell, and that's the thing that they do very well here, is that they don't tell you everything. Like, it's not, like I said, it's not like every single event in Elton John's life. It helps that Elton John is actually still alive, so he's able to tell the story that he wanted to, and I thought they did a very good job with that here. And Hall's writing, I thought, was just spectacular. I thought the dialogue and stuff like that was so spot on. And again, I should not have to say this because it is a very different type of film, but a lot of people are going to go into this film worried because of Bohemian Rhapsody. They're worried that it's going to be another, copy of that or something. And I'll just say right now, within the first few moments of Elton going into this support group and him talking to them, all of that's going to be thrown out the window. I mean, I don't think anybody watching this film is going to be thinking about Bohemian Rhapsody. The only thing you're going to be thinking about is how much more well-handled certain things are in here, especially when it comes to John's homosexuality. I mean, they really do dive deep into how prevalent of an issue this was for him. I mean, back then, people just weren't very accepting of it. I mean, he had to marry another girl in order to cover this up because it could hurt his image and things like that. It was very much frowned upon back then, and I thought they did a very good job with realistically covering that. I mean, his parents even aren't very accepting. It's all very sad to see, for sure, but I like that they didn't shy away. They could have easily romanticized it in a way where, oh, this turned out great for John, but they don't. They tell you very much like, no, this did not turn out as the way that he would have wanted it to, and I like that. I like that, they weren't afraid of not, of telling the whole truth, and really showing things that, doesn't make Elton's life look the best. And I thought they did a very good job with that, for sure. A lot of biopics, again, they try to make these people look like they're these amazing people. And Elton, sure, he was a very good person, but there was a lot of damage. There was a lot of pain there. There was a lot that he was going through. And this film really does explore every facet of who Elton John was and still is, and what he is trying to still kind of overcome. And I thought they did a very good job with that here, for sure. And something else I really did love about the film that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate is that it's not really fan servicey. This is not a film where they go through each song that Elton has made and we get this stupid scene of like, oh, this is why this song was created, this is why this song was created. No, we do get to see him perform a lot of the time, but it's more about the personal stuff. It's far more about Elton John's personal life and, what he went through and the demons that he had and things like that. And I think they did a very good job with telling that story, for sure. So again, I absolutely love the writing here. There's so much to just adore about it, and Hall's writing I thought was so spot on. The cinematography in this film is otherworldly. I mean, the style here is so well done. It is extremely vivacious and vibrant. It's a film that I think you can just soak yourself right into, and I thought they did such a great job with that. And that's the thing. like I said, this is not a generic biopic. It's much more of a full-on Broadway musical, and I was completely there for it. I love what they were able to capture, because look, John is a very flamboyant person. He's someone who is very comfortable. Well, he wasn't at first, but, you know, nowadays he is very comfortable with his sexuality. He's not afraid to express himself in that way, and I thought they handled that very, very well here, and the cinematography really does correlate with that style, and that's something that I really did appreciate. This film is very sort of like fantasy-esque, and I really did love that here. And just in general, I thought the cinematography was so great in this film, and that's one of the things that really does help it stick out and is, I think, above many other music biopics. I think there was a way that they told this story that helped it so it wasn't just, you know, a film that felt like all the rest. I mean, this felt like a cut above the rest because of the visual style, which I thought was, again, just very well it showcased here, and I thought they did a very good job with that. The score also is so good to this film. Again, this is a full-on musical, and I loved every single second of it. Within the first few minutes of this film, it's going to make you just stop comparing it to, say, Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's something I love. Taron is singing these songs, as is the rest of the cast. It's not just Egerton that is participating. Richard Madden gets a song, Jamie Bell gets a song, Bryce Dallas Howard gets a song, and I thought they did such a great job with that. I love the music here, and the way they use the songs to tell the story of John's life was so well done. And no, maybe they weren't written for this particular story, but it does kind of make you wonder, like, what was John really writing about in that given moment? Could it possibly have been this experience that he was going through? And, you know, the way they told the story, they did it in such a way where, yeah, those songs could have been about that. Those songs could have been related to this specific event, or this specific incident, or this specific, sort of problem that John was going through. And I thought they did a really great job with that, and the songs really did tell the story. It really did feel like a classic musical. One of the things I came out of with this movie when I was done with it is, I really hope this becomes a Broadway musical, because the choreography, I mean, they went all out with this film. And again, as a huge fan of musicals, I really appreciated it, and I thought it worked so well for this film. And I don't know how you guys are going to feel, but I got a real kick out of it, and I thought it really just, again, helped this film stick out in a way that it couldn't have any other way. And I think it was just so well done, and especially for someone like John, I mean, this was the perfect idea, and I just love that they went full-on musical here. Also, the new song that was in there, I'm Gonna Love Me Again, I absolutely adored. It came out on Apple Music, actually, a few days before I saw this movie, and I've been jamming out to it ever since, and it's so good. I hope it at least gets nominated for Best Original Song, because I think it perfectly sums up the type of film that they're trying to do here. Egerton and John's vocals, I mean, all of that is so great, and I think just in general, hearing that, you're gonna walk out feeling very happy, and I think that's definitely what you want with a film like this, and that's something that I also very much appreciated. And the editing I thought was very well done. The film is extremely well edited. There were so many cuts that I really did love. One especially during Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting that I thought was just so spot on, and I love what they did there. And again, what they choose to show, I thought was very effective. There's one scene in particular towards the end that is so well edited, and again, it's mainly due to how well they set up everything, you know, in John's life, and how they get you to understand what he's going through, and I thought they did a very good job of that. Some people might think it's on the nose, but again, it's because of how personal the film it really is. You really do get inside Elton's head in that given moment, and I thought they did a very good job with that. So the editing, I thought, was very spot on here. So with all the praise I'm giving to this film, you think that, you know, it's basically perfect, and for the most part, yeah, there's a lot that I really do adore about it. I do have one very, very small flaw, and it really doesn't bring down the film all that much, but throughout most of this film, the musical performances work very well. There is one, though, that to me at least, I thought was a little confusing. Not so much the meaning that they were trying to convey, but who ends up singing this specific song. I don't really know what they were trying to go for there. That one was a little bit confusing to me, and I didn't really understand why they gave certain characters this song to express their sort of, you know, their sort of desire and things like that. One of the characters isn't really even that prominent in the story, so I don't even know why they decided to do that. Other than that, though, this is everything I could have imagined for. This is such a dazzling and just beautiful film about acceptance. It's about love. It's about, you know, just you know, being yourself. It's about, it's very liberating in that way, and I think it's everything that you could have wanted this biopic to be. Taron Egerton, I mean, he better get an Oscar nomination. I mean, what he does in this film, it's just, it's fantastic, and I really do hope that this film does cement him as the true masterclass that I always knew he was capable of. The songs that are interweaved in the film are so well done, and I think in general, if you are a fan of Elton John, you're gonna come out a fan. But even if you're gonna come out satisfied, obviously. But even if you're not, I think you'll still get a lot out of this film. This gives you a very raw look at the life that he really did go through, and it really doesn't shy away from anything, which I really did appreciate for sure. A lot of that is due to the film's R rating, but again, I mean, like I said, it's not Bohemian Rhapsody. It's not comparable. Like, it's that simple. These are not comparable films at all, mainly because of the fact that it's able to tell a much different and much more personal story than that film was ever able to. And I feel like, just in general, if you are worried this is going to be like that, within the first few minutes, all of that's basically going to be gone, and I don't think you're going to have much to worry about. I think overall, you're going to come out very, very satisfied with this film. I absolutely adored it. I honestly can't get over how great it is. I really do hope people go out and see this one for sure, and just in general, this is easily one of my favorite films of the entire year so far, and I'm definitely going to give Rocketman overall an A. Definitely check this one out, guys, once it comes out near you. I know there's a lot of stuff right now that is coming out all at once since it is summertime, but this is one that, trust me, you do not want to miss out on. I'm really hoping that this can get at least the amount of money that Bohemian Rhapsody did, because, trust me, like, this is the kind of biopic that we really do need right now. It is hard to make your films stick out, but this film does it, and I think it's a great example of how to tell a very unconventional story, and I hope more people do look at it as an example, and I hope they are affected and touched by it in the way that I was. But either way, guys, in my review of Rocketman, let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. You have seen it, love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.